It's time for the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast.
Oh, indeed. 50 episodes in the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. It's been a great pleasure doing all these 50 so far. Let's keep it going with another exciting episode coming up next.
Oh, indeed. I'm glad you connected. This is Dave Johnson, voice of the Washington Wizards. You have connected to the right place because you are listening to my man, Josh Kirby, on Sports Podcast.
Wow. Can you believe it? 50 episodes into my podcast. Yes, indeed, folks. The Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast going strong at episode 50. And boy, do we have an exciting episode for you today. Riding solo today on the podcast. But before we begin, as always, we are part of the Mayo Please Podcast Network. Make sure you check out the Mayo Please, www.mayoplease.com, and on Twitter at the Mayo Please. You can find my podcast playing on their SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you check them out along with my links. So the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast is everywhere. Make sure you check it out. And as always, we are presented by Red 11 Chips. Make sure you find a bag today inside your local Martin's, Food Line, and Giant stores. Man, it's been a crazy week so far, sports in general. A lot of breaking news I want to get to, but first, in the world of sports, we will be covering the AFC East, a breakdown of the AFC East. So I wanted to do this first because this sort of coincides with another subject I have. And as you know, in the AFC East, the New England Patriots are in that division. And earlier this week, reports have been dropped that Josh Gordon has been reinstated. This is a move where I'm very questionable about. I'm very questionable about this move because, how many chances is he gonna get? Josh Gordon. There was this whole spinoff, he's getting help and he's stepping away, but no, I don't know. That was. Apparently he was faking that and doing drugs again. I forget the whole deal, but he's getting reinstated, and by the looks of it, he's going to be playing for New England. And I don't really understand how the league reinstated him, but it's going to be really interesting to see if he can stay in the league. By far, I saw this report and it shocked me because I thought Josh Gordon was done forever. The tough road he's been on. But this has got to be his last chance, if anything goes about with this has to be his final chance. If he does it again, I'm not sure. If the league gives him one more chance after that, I don't know what to say. So, Josh Gordon back in the league, that's interesting. But just a little tidbit inside the AFC East preview I wanted to get to. So, the AFC East, let me break down the lay of the land for you here. We got the Patriots, the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins in that division. And as you know, the Patriots last year won the Super Bowl yet again, beating the Rams. And I'm expecting nothing short of playoffs, maybe even a Super Bowl again. The Patriots, hands down. They're better. They're really good. They're not like Alabama. I can't stand Alabama, but New England I can stand better than Alabama, but because of their winning cultures and stuff. But you cannot deny that New England has a winning culture, and they're just going to keep winning. You have Bill Belichick, you have Tom Brady still, you look at this team every single year and you're like, yeah, I mean, they don't have everything. They don't have the highest paid quarterback in Tom Brady, but yet you still see them come out and win games. I have to admit, this is the first time I will admit that this is a class act organization. Robert Kraft is one of the best owners in the league, in my opinion, and I just think they're going to have another wonderful season. Can they make it to the Super Bowl? Sure. I don't doubt it one bit. But the New England Patriots, I mean, I see them with a 14-2 record. I see them getting upset by the Eagles and the Chiefs. No, excuse me, 14-3. I see them getting upset by the Browns, Eagles, and Chiefs. And that's even a stretch saying the Browns. But the New England Patriots, they're still going to continue to be a winning team. And it's not going to change for a while, in my opinion. You know, how much more does Tom Brady have left? We never know. You know, he's like 43, 44 years old. How much longer does Tom Brady have? How much longer does Bill Belichick have? But this team will not change because they have the coach. They have the right coach to get them where they need to be. So moving on from the Patriots, I want to talk about the rest of the teams here. The Buffalo Bills, as you know, they have a new quarterback, Josh Allen, and they have some new running backs as well. They have Frank Gore coming from Miami to pair along Shady McCoy, yes, LaShawn McCoy from the Philadelphia Eagles back in the day. But still, I think the Bills are going to struggle a little bit. I have them down as a 7-9 record. But I still think their running game is going to benefit a lot with Frank Gore and LaShawn McCoy. And they also have new wideout Cole Beasley from the Dallas Cowboys. So, you know, they have a lot of positives that they can build on. But in my opinion, the Bills, they have a lot to work on. But yeah, I think the Bills are going to be good in second place. But in this tough division with the Patriots, it's very hard to overcome the Patriots, you know? And I'm going to say this all podcast. It's going to be very hard to overcome this Patriots team, this Patriots organization, the head coach, Bill Belichick. And I'm going to repeat myself until I turn blue in the face. So, but the Bills, yeah, you know, I think they're moving in the right direction with this new quarterback, Josh Allen. I think they're going to do really well. And who knows, maybe they'll win 8-9 games this season. But I don't doubt it. But, you know, I had to lower my expectations a little bit for this AFC East preview. Going 7-9 here. And next up for the AFC East, the New York Jets. Jets, in my opinion, are a team that is continuing to build as well with Sam Darnold under the helm for the second straight season. They have a lot to work on. You know, I have them down at a 5-11 record, but like I said before, I'm going to repeat this. The Patriots are hard to come by, are hard to pass. But anyways, the Jets, I see them. There's not a lot I can say about them. I barely watch them. I haven't seen much of the Jets, but I think they're going to be a solid third place. This division is pretty rock hard in my book. So I have the Jets at 5-11, and then the Dolphins, that's a completely different story. I have something to say on the Dolphins. They got rid of Ryan Tannehill. He's at the Titans now. It's a quarterback battle this year between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen. And you know the story with Josh Rosen last year with the Arizona Cardinals before getting replaced by Kyler Murray, the first-round draft pick out of Oklahoma. Yes, Josh Rosen, he did not develop well in Arizona. I'm telling you, like, he didn't play well, you know? And I think that was because Steve Wilkes wasn't that great of a coach. And He got booted after the first year. I just think that team chemistry wasn't good. I'm hoping Josh Rosen gets that second chance to prove what he's worth from that NFL draft. But it's going to be a QB battle between Fitzmagic and Josh Rosen. Not top tier quarterbacks, but it's something to work on. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, in my opinion, gets that starting job, but you never know. But I think the Dolphins are going to be on a rocky road this year with a brand new head coach in Brian Flores, who came from the New England Patriots, a former linebackers coach. A brand new head coach in this struggling Dolphins organization. I'm not sure how well that's going to suit, but I have them winning 0-2 games this year. Because that's how low I see the Dolphins. But, you all have your rebuilding seasons. But it comes down to how you handle the losses and how you can rebuild. And I think in the next couple of years, Ryan Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen can develop into something great. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who knows how long he has left, but Josh Rosen, I hope he develops well because he deserves it after that terrible opportunity in Arizona last season before Kyler Murray. So that's a brief look into the AFC East. We have a very special segment coming up next, so I hope you enjoy this one on episode 50 of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. Stay tuned. All right, back with you on episode 50 of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. Thank you to everybody who has supported me along the way. As always, we're brought to you by Rat 11 Chips. Make sure you find a bag today inside your local Martin's Food Line and Giant stores. This next segment, I have a very special guest from the University of Miami, the U Crew, as I like to call it, and ended up being drafted in the second round of the 2002 NFL Draft, played 2 years for the Denver Broncos before getting traded to the Washington Redskins. Yes, indeed, a Redskins great, Clinton Portis. Clinton, thank you so much for being on the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. What you been up to, man?
No problem, man. Thanks for having me. Man, just relaxing, cool and chilling. Been a sports fan as usual, getting ready for my fellow Canes to come out and put a beating on these Gators this weekend.
Oh, yes, indeed. That will be an interesting matchup. So, tell us a little bit about your days in college, what that was like playing with some guys, including Santana Moss, another Redskin that you ended up playing with after your 2-year tenure in Denver.
Man, it was great, man. You look at the University of Miami and the time that we had there, just the crew of guys, the collection of guys that ended up coming there, a bunch of underdogs. You look at Ed Reed, who just was newly inducted into the Hall of Fame, having the opportunity to play with him. You look at guys like Sean Taylor Santana, a guy who came on the track scholarship, Reggie Wayne, another future Hall of Famer. When you look at these guys and the expectations that weren't there for them coming into college to seeing what they turned out to be in college and the NFL, it was spectacular. A lot of competition amongst the guys, a lot of good times, great stories, great memories, where everybody just had one goal, and that was to go out and represent your family and be the best that you can possibly be, never really worrying about the attention or how and what happened from it. It was just, I'm going to go out and be the best me that I could be, because I've seen so many guys go out and have success this way. You think about Bubba Franks or Edgerrin James, Nate Webster, the guys that were before us that opened the door, guys that were visual, that were around the university, that were coming out at the same time. And it's like, what? That gives you hope. That gives you a dream. That gives you the opportunity to believe in yourself. And, you take it from there.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of players from the University of Miami, a lot of big names coming out. So during your time there, you actually won a national championship. Take us through what that national championship team was like after they won, and that whole season as a whole.
Well, actually, we should have won in 2000. We should have won the year before we won. I think we were primed to do something special. We went up to Seattle and lost to a good Washington club in the Washington Huskies, and that was a lesson that we needed to learn because I felt like as a team we were cocky, we were confident, and we felt like we had uh, at that point we had arrived and we haven't. We hadn't, and the Huskies came out and put it to us. And I never lost again in college after that. So I think that was a great lesson because in 2000 we really had the best team in the nation, and we really should have won the championship or had at least had an opportunity to play Oklahoma for the championship. Instead, we were jumped the last week by FSU, and we beat the Gators in the Sugar Bowl. And I think just the bitterness that came from not being in the championship in 2000, having to go the entire season, knowing what it felt like to be jumped over, knowing what it felt like to be screwed in the BCS because that's when the BCS had started. So the entire team had one focus, one goal, and that was national championship. And just the lead up to it, everything that guys put in. I recall after we beat the University of Florida in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl, maybe a week later, everyone was back at school training. Like, nah, man, like we should have won, and that carried us so long because uh, Butch Davis left immediately after that game, and guys had to come together and focus. And we all wanted Coach Coker, and we get Coach Coker as a head coach, and we couldn't let him down because so many guys stood up for Coach Coker to become the head coach. And it was like one of those policing policies, like, man, you know what? We got to make sure we police ourselves, not put any pressure, allow Coach Coker to go out and just oversee this thing and not mess anything up. And I mean, just amongst the players, Ken Dorsey, Brian McKinney, Ed Reed, Philip Buchanan, Jeremy Shockey. Guys just stepped up. Guys stood up and took it upon themselves to say, you know what? We're going to go out. We're going to be the best. And that's what we did.
Yeah, so great stuff there from your college days, and then how to feel after you got picked by the Broncos in the 2002 draft. Talk a little bit about that for us.
Well, for me, getting drafted in the second round, going to the Broncos was a blessing in disguise because I felt like I should have been drafted higher. I felt like I was a top 10 pick. And if you go back and you redraft, and after now everything is said and done, I would probably be a top 5 pick. So the confidence to have the knowledge. So when I got the opportunity, when I got the call from the Broncos, it was just one of those situations as I couldn't even be happy. I was happy I made it to the NFL, but it was one of those, I promise you, I'm gonna go out and do great things. I'm gonna go out and be a special player. I'm gonna win Rookie of the Year. And it was just the belief in self, not being cocky. It was the belief in self. And after the realization that I had been passed over, and not by one or two teams, like I was the 51st pick, So um, for me, it was just, you know what? Here's my opportunity. Here's my platform, and I want to make sure I become a household name. So getting that opportunity and going to an organization such as the Broncos, who had just come off a Super Bowl 2 years prior, and playing for Coach Shanahan, and in that system with some greats, Rod Smith, Shannon Sharp, Ed McCaffrey, Al Wilson, having those guys to look up to, having those guys as mentors to actually learn how to be a professional, to be a professional player was great. It was a blessing in disguise for me. And then the trade happened, Champ just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. The trade happens, and I go to D.C. where I'm asked to carry an organization on my back. An organization that had just got a new owner in '99. An organization that hadn't had much success of recent years, and an organization that was living off of the past. So having that opportunity to come, and Coach Gibbs was coming back, it was just a great time to be traded. It was a great time to be a part of the organization. So for me, it was all a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, so yeah, after the Broncos, as you said, you got traded. So uh, how did it feel coming back to some of your college teammates, like Santana Moss? He's like your best friend. How did it feel playing alongside him for the same organization?
Well, it was something, me being around Tanner, knowing Santana, and being friends with Santana. We had an opportunity to link up after I got traded to DC, and Lavernius Coles, who was a teammate of mine, wanted out, and um, he wanted to leave DC, and I knew Santana wasn't happy with his role in New York, so it was just one of those. Me and Santana was getting ready to hang out, and we were in Miami, and I'm like, bro, you need to come. Like, you want to come to DC? And he like, man, if you can make it happen, and I make the phone call, and the next thing you know, we're teammates again. And then we had Sean T. So I got two guys that I know with the same background, the same mindset, the same work ethic, the same goal to go out and be the best. Having those two guys, and then teaming up with guys like Chris Samuels, Marcus Washington, London Fletcher, the guys that were the guys that were in DC. So having the opportunity to team up with those guys and build something special is what we are attempting to do.
That is truly amazing, and you were one of the greats in Washington, in my opinion. You every time I saw you on TV, you just had a ball game. You were one of the best, in my opinion. So, yeah, all in all, give us some memories from the league, your time in the league as a whole, and what do you take away most about it? What's the most positive thing you took away from your time in the NFL?
Well, again, appreciate the validation. Just for me, it was the memories, man. Like, it's so many memories, and everyone think it's the game, and oh, what was your best game? The memories was more about the creation leading up to that week. What made that week special? Going back to Denver, before Kansas City, everything that led up to that week. The phone call to Pastor Troy to bring the belt. Because I just had the feeling that something special was about to happen, and all of a sudden it's 5 touchdowns, or being in DC, and some of the games that, the first carry against Tampa Bay that will always be legendary. My first touch as a Redskin, and I take it to the house, just the lead up, all the off season talk and conditioning, and everyone, well, this guy's not going to be good, and he was a system running back, and all of a sudden, boom, however many yards to the house, 76 yards to the house on the first carry, just to quiet the haters. You had so many opportunities in situations like that. I could think of the run to the playoffs, and everyone had wrote us off. I think we were 2-5 or 2-6 or something at the time, and we had to go on to win 8 straight games to get to the playoffs, and we did. And the characters, bringing the characters to life just to run, although it happened in a sad situation. Sean T, how the team came together after Sean T passing, and the Bills game, which will forever be so memorable, running out with the 21 flag and scoring a touchdown in that game, and the tribute to Sean. And it's just how the guys gelled. It was so much more than playing on Sunday. It was everything that people didn't have the opportunity to see at the time that I was playing.
Yeah, that Buffalo Bills game you talked about, that was such a wonderful tribute to him, and he is forever missed, Sean Taylor. But moving right along now, Clinton, thanks for giving us some insight on your playing days. But let's get into some recent talk. Your sideline reporting for the Redskins for their 4 preseason games. So tell us a little bit about that and how that's going for you.
Man, it's great. It's an opportunity to still be a part of the team and be around the guys, be in the locker room. Just to get the guys an honest view. I think to get the fans an honest view and allow them to see personality of the guys, for the guys to go out and have an honest conversation. So often you have interviews with reporters, or something that got misconstrued, or words got twisted, or they don't deliver as you said. Have an opportunity on the sideline. What you say is what comes out, and not attempting to set guys up and get some kind of headline or get some kind of credit. Giving guys the platform to show their smile, giving guys the opportunity for people to see you without the helmet on, to see that you're human, to see that you have a personality. Like having that opportunity, that's what makes it so special for me because you have so many guys that you just see them in the helmet. You don't get to see, you don't get to see the look. You don't get to see the smile. You don't get to see that these guys have personality and these guys hurt. Like we become inhumane in uniform, and all of a sudden, once the uniform is off, you say, "Oh man, he looks like me," or "He talks like me," or "That's me." Like that's a young me, or that's an older me. Whatever it is, just having that opportunity to be a part of it.
That's great, man. So, give us your inside look, how you think the Redskins are doing so far this year with Dwayne Haskins under center, new addition, their first round pick, some of the new guys. What's your take on the Redskins uh, through these past two preseason games, and what do you expect from them the rest of this preseason?
Well, I think when you look at the Skins, due to the scare from last year when you lose guys, it's kind of been a timid preseason. You don't want to put your guys on the field. You don't want to give guys an opportunity to get hurt just from the past two seasons with the injury history that's happened with the Skins. Um, so far this preseason we've been timid. Guys haven't seen the projected starters all together at no point, and I don't think you will. So just getting into week one, every week you want to see improvement of the young guys, the guys that's not on the team, the guys that's fighting for an opportunity. You want to see the fight. You want these guys to come out and give you some sign of hope or playmaking ability. When you look at last week, Monte Nicholson with the big interception return. You look at Bostic, who's been outstanding this preseason. You look at Sims Jr., a guy that's making plays. The kid that we had got hurt last year that came back and he scored the 2 touchdowns. So when you see these guys finally get an opportunity to contribute and they're taking advantage of it. These are the guys you're looking for. These are the guys you want to see because I know what I'm getting out of the starters. I know Case Keenum is a proven quarterback. I know Adrian Peterson is a future Hall of Famer. I know Jordan Reed and what he brings to the game, Vernon Davis. So I'm looking for the guys no one knows. I'm looking for the guys who hasn't become a household name that's going to have to contribute. And we're getting a glimpse out of these guys in the preseason.
Well, yes, very good from that. And the regular season, what are your thoughts and predictions for the Redskins in the regular season?
It's gonna be a tough year, man. That's when you look at it, it's gonna be tough for the scheduling. The NFL doesn't help you out when you got 3 divisional games in Chicago and New England all within the first 5 weeks of your season. That's tough. But if you could overcome that, and you could overcome injuries, you got a chance. Everyone has to play a tough schedule because the entire NFC East got the same schedule. So when you look at these guys, when you look at these games, you just want to go out and put yourself in position to get into the playoffs. So what does it take to win the NFC East this year? Maybe 10-6 because you're going to beat up on each other. You look at Philly, you look at Dallas and New York. So maybe the winner of the NFC East is 10-6, and a wild card would have to be 9-7 because you have so many good teams in the NFC period. So just knowing it's going to be a tough division, you gotta hope to at least be 9-7.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough road, and like you said, those first 5 games are going to be crucial. Yeah, I just don't know how they're going to do it, but hopefully there is a way that the Redskins can pull out maybe 5 wins. But the Patriots coming off a Super Bowl, ooh man, after you get past that, I don't see why they can't do pretty good. They just have to stay focused and hustle hard these first 5 games of the season.
Yeah, that's what they got to do, man. You never know what can happen with Dallas situation. You look at all 3 teams have something going on that you're playing against. The Eagles, you're just getting Carson Wentz back from injury. Probably won't see any preseason action, so the timing the timing of the Eagles. You know, a new running back in Jordan Howard. You look at the Giants losing OBJ and all of those guys. You know, Olivier Vernon, Tate not being available. It's a great time, you know, having Daniel Jones come in where it's going to be early. You know, Eli and Daniel Jones. Or you look at the Cowboys not having Zeke in the entire preseason. That's going to be new. So it's kind of a good situation to be in for us. You know, if those teams are completely healthy and have everything going, it could be a different outcome. But catching these guys where they're not at 100, you know, everybody, oh man, they're not at full strength. Who cares? You just want to win the game. So it's a great time to catch all three of those teams and give you an opportunity to go up in the division.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the holdout of Trent Williams, in the NFL season, and do you think there's any chance he will return for the regular season?
It's just tough, man. You know, I think Trent has been so solid for this organization and done so much, and the organization has done the same for Trent. So it's just one of those situations. You hope that they can resolve it. You hope to have Trent Williams opening day, but hey, you got to be prepared to not have him. Same way Dallas got to be prepared to not have Zeke. So it's just something that you need to work itself out within the next 3 weeks.
Yes, hope I'm crossing my fingers for that as well. And on the other side of football, on the offensive side, what are your thoughts about the running back situation for the Washington Redskins? You have solid Adrian Peterson coming back. He just looks like a tank. You have Darius Geis coming off that ACL injury, and you have Samanje P. Ryan. That's the three I can name off the top of my head. How are you liking those additions at running back?
Well, Chris Thompson is the guy you left off,
Oh
and Chris
yes,
Thompson will
Chris Tom.
probably be
Yes,
one of the top third down backs, one of the top specialists in football, along
yes,
with
that was my
AP and
apologies.
Geis. So when you look at AP and Geis and what they're capable of, AP track record is proven, but the upside to Geis is what we're all waiting to see. So you get a healthy AP, a guy who's just as humble as he could possibly be. That's a future Hall of Famer. And last week I saw the first run AP had, which allowed me to know, oh yeah, he's ready for the season. So now it's just seeing that in Geis, seeing Geis healthy and confident that he's going to go out and be able to play and getting them on the field. So with those three guys alone, I feel confident. The issue is you've lost your best player in Trent Williams, who is really a key to those guys' success. So that's the question mark. That's the questionable part of it, because you want to rely on the running game early on until Case Keenum gets comfortable at quarterback and until you see what the receivers are capable of doing. So you want to rely on the running game, but now you're missing one of the biggest pieces of the running game, probably one of the most valuable pieces in Trent Williams.
Yes, I do agree with that. Hopefully he does come back. But last question before we let you go here, Clinton. Your prediction, bold predictions, any takes you have on the NFL season as a whole. What do you expect out of this 2019 NFL season?
Excitement, man. You know, you look at Le'Veon Bell, you look at Antonio Brown and OBJ, guys who you really couldn't imagine being in new uniforms. It's all in new uniforms, you know, faces of franchises. You look at the young kid in Kansas City that's taking the world by storm at quarterback, and it's so many pieces and so many guys you want to be excited about, and you got to see the team gel. You got to see everything come together to make it work. You're always excited about Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, because those names are legendary. But when you think about Mahomes and Murray and Lamar Jackson and Daniel Jones, you know, what's next? You're always eager to see what's next. So I look forward to be an exciting season. And like last year, you're sitting on the edge of your seat, you're biting your nails. That's every NFL season. That's all the time. You get a team that comes out of nowhere that's unexpected to go out and do big things that comes on strong. So you look for those teams. You look for the team like the Patriots that can't be dethroned, that everyone wants to dethrone, but it's hard to dethrone them. And it's so many storylines throughout. Like, can Kansas City repeat? The Chargers had a great year. The Denver Broncos with that defense. You look at the Chicago Bears, who lost their defensive coordinator. Can their defense sustain? It's so many storylines that you want to get excited about, and then you overlook teams like the Houston Texans, who have so many solid players. One of the best receivers in the game, and DeAndre Hopkins. And you look at Lamar Miller, underrated back. They just signed Duke Johnson. So it's just bouncing around the league. Every team has some kind of excitement. You think about the Falcons and Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, and finally having Devontae Freeman healthy, and you go down to Tampa, and it's like, oh man, could Jameis take the next step with Mike Evans and this receiving core? And you look at Jacksonville, can they return as a defense, as a dominant defense? Pittsburgh, how will they shake up? Will Juju take reign? Will Juju be the best receiver in football? It's so many storylines, man. You're just sitting on the edge of your seat, hoping to see. Like, I can't wait to see how this pan out.
I could not agree more with that, Clinton. So, yeah, you have any gigs going on for this regular season, or just gonna sit back and relax and watch some football?
No, I do. I have the podcast 26 Minutes, so you could always catch me on that every week. 26 Minutes. Hit Your Line. My partner Monica McNutt, she does a great job. I do the post game show. I do a pre-game show. So I'm able to be found. Just check out 26 Minutes. It keeps you updated with everything I possibly have going on. So I'll always be a fan of sports. So I can't wait to watch it. Basketball, football, baseball. I watch it all. So just being able to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not know you had a podcast, so make sure you check out Clinton's podcast, 26 Minutes, because his number was 26. What a legend you have been for the Redskins organization. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, sir, for this 50th edition of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. Thanks again so much for joining us, Clinton.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
The Josh Kirby on Sports podcast, part of the Mayo Please podcast network, is sponsored by Route 11 Chips. Make sure you find a bag today at your local Food Lion, Martin's, and Giant stores. Be sure to look us up on social media as well. For Facebook, the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. For Twitter, at Kirby on Sports. For Instagram, at Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. Just search the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. You can also listen on www.mayoplease.com. If you have any questions for the show, shoot us an email, kirbyonsports@gmail.com.
All right, episode 50 of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast continues here. How about that for a segment with Clinton Portis? Hope you enjoyed that one. Now I'm back on the phone with a guy, a very special guy who made episode 1 happen for me. So without this man, I don't think I'd be around for 50 episodes. It's Josh Reich on the phone. Josh, you there, sir?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Oh, not a whole lot. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man, but the real reason why I have you in here is because Evgeny Kuznetsov got busted for cocaine use and cocaine in his system. So I sort of want to get your thoughts on what the situation is like down there and what you think the deal was.
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell because we don't, they're conducting their own investigation. So obviously we don't have all the information yet. I mean, obviously it's disappointing considering that he, when he was first found in that video earlier this year, not even but a few months ago, I don't think, that he refuted that he had never done drugs and all this stuff. So, it's obviously not the best look for him, considering what's going on. But, and then coming to find out that he did have cocaine in his system. Now, the one thing I do find to be a little fishy, and I mean, obviously he had it in his system, but I don't know about you, Josh, but it does seem a little strange to me. The timeline is a little far off for
Oh, yeah,
considering
of
I think they
course.
said they did it in June. So I don't understand why the video took a year to come out and then, you have this coming out after, but I mean, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, so sort of the rough timeline here was they released the video of him like a year after they won the Stanley Cup. Like, I think it was after they won the Stanley Cup or something. And
Yeah.
then right after that, he gets cleared. The Capitals clear him and the NHL clears him. Then maybe I don't know how many months, but a couple months later, I see on the news this afternoon, that he's suspended internationally for 4 years. So yeah, the timeline is really fishy. So, what do you think about the ruling of the International League suspending him 4 years?
Well, to be honest with you, I know that they consider, from what I understand, they consider cocaine to be a performance enhancing drug, which the NHL does not. So that falls under a different category in the NHL than it does internationally. It's certainly interesting, just consider, I mean, I guess my guess just, and just from the little I know about how they roll things and with it being performance enhancing, I guess they come down very hard on that kind of stuff. And I guess, considering how few games there are when you think about it, because they only play, I think, once a year, then I guess it would make sense that the suspension, would be longer. So, a little extreme seeming, but I guess given the amount of games that would entail, I guess it's not as bad, but 4 years does seem like a lot considering still. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if it was in a system, it was in a system. And like I said, it is a bad look for him. But ultimately, I mean, the biggest thing is him getting sober, if it is as much of a problem as it's seeming to be, at least at this point, with the little bit that we know. Is getting himself right for his family. And, it's a lot of people are going to say it says a lot of stuff, but, until we know the facts, I don't want to speculate too much. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when you deny, and then get cleared, and then it comes out that you had cocaine in your system earlier this year, it's definitely not a good look.
Yeah, definitely. So, as the reports come out, hopefully we can update you to the best of our knowledge and our being able to. So, Josh, it's been a while since you've been on the podcast, since the last time you've been on. So, I want to get your thoughts. The Caps, after winning the Stanley Cup, losing in the first round to the Carolina Hurricanes, this playoff system this year was very bizarre. The Penguins get swept. The Islanders swept the what I even
The
forget.
Lightning?
Yeah, the Lightning.
Or no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. The Blue Jackets did that.
Yeah, no,
Blue Jackets
the
swept the
Blue
Lightning,
Jackets.
and the Islanders swept the Penguins.
Yeah, that's right. So the Penguins got swept and the Lightning got swept. Those are the two teams I was thinking of. And the Capitals lost in the first round. So definitely some teams we saw that we weren't expecting to be there. What were your thoughts on all that?
Well, I mean, it just kind of shows, I mean, you and I have been Caps fans for a long time, and, it kind of just shows you how it's 7 games. So, I mean, it does, it's a little bit different than football unless you're the Patriots and you just win, every single time pretty much. But, there's definitely, with the bounces and the way things that can go, I mean, people say it all the time, and I think some people outside of hockey don't really understand that. But it's just, there's so much that's out of your control. I think that can really play a big factor. I mean, you look at the Penguins, the Penguins had, I think fatigue plays a factor too, because the Penguins had, let's see, they went to the second round against the Caps last year, the season before last when they won the Cup. And then you also have, that they won the Cup, what was it, two times in a row?
Yeah.
So back-to-back years. So that definitely takes a toll. I mean, you're getting a shorter summer, and there's that definitely plays into it. But again, I think there's just some randomness to it. I mean, sometimes the team gets hot at the right time. That's something you and I have talked about before. It's always about the team who gets. It's not about who's the best the whole year, proven by the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's about if you can get hot at the right time, that can be the make or break between your season being successful and or just turning out to be a flop. So there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff that goes on. But I mean, I think you see that kind of every year. The Caps weren't picked to win last year, and they still ended up doing it. So there's definitely always that element of randomness.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And how do you like the result of the St. Louis Blues defeating the Boston Bruins in 7 games to hoist that Stanley Cup?
It was great, man. I mean, I wanted the Blues to win. I just wanted to see a team that hadn't one win, just like the Capitals did last year. So I thought that was awesome. I mean, it's just kind of like any sport. I think unless it's your team, of course, you get a little tired of seeing the same people do it every single year. So I was rooting for them going in, so it was great to see them. I mean, especially the story with, I think it was the All-Star break, being last in the entire conference, and then going from there to being, to winning the Stanley Cup and turning around is pretty crazy.
Yeah, sort of like a Cinderella story there. So,
Yeah.
it's a little while till the start of the season. The Caps played the St. Louis Blues in their home opener, their banner-raising game. So, any big thoughts, predictions on this year's NHL season?
Well, I mean, you always want to tend to say that when you're it's just like the Caps last year. I mean, they went on the first round, but until they're not the champions, you got to pick the team that won the cup. I do think that, it's going to be very interesting this year, with some of the moves that have happened. Nashville, it's going to be interesting to see how they do, considering they moved PK Subban to New Jersey. New Jersey is going to be a very interesting team to watch as well, with getting Jack Hughes, and then also being able to get PK Subban. That's a pretty big deal. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I guess we'll find out as it goes on. But it's just so hard to predict anything. I'd love to see the Caps do it, but with this koozie situation, that could potentially have an effect on that. So we'll have to kind of see as things roll along. But I'm just excited to kind of get it going and see what happens as the season goes on.
Yes, hockey season. We just can't wait. Josh, thanks once again for joining us on the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast, episode 50. Without you, I don't know where I'd be in this podcast, and hope you have a great night.
All right, man.
All right, we're back, and man, what a great segment there. Thank you so much to Josh Reich for calling in once again, and I would be talking about one more segment about Antonio Brown filing a second grievance about his helmet, but in my opinion, that's a waste of my breath. So I will not be talking about that. It's just drama-filled situation there in Oakland. So we're going to wrap things up here. I hope you enjoyed episode 50 of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. And it's a milestone for me. I greatly appreciate everybody pushing me along the way to make this podcast what it is today. Without you all, I don't have time to name everybody, but without you all, it wouldn't have happened. And I'm truly blessed to everybody who has helped me along the way to make this podcast what it is today. Thanks to Clinton Portis for calling in to the podcast, as always. Thank you to JR Beats Official, Dave Johnson for our intro, as always. Rod 11 Ships, as always. There's a lot of thanks that I cannot give tonight on this podcast, but just know I greatly appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm going to keep dropping more content. Just wait. I'm busy. I'm really busy at times, but No, I just can't wait to keep producing more and more episodes for you all. So, with that being said, you know where to find me. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. You can find us on the Mayo Please, www.mayoplease.com, and the Mayo Please on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast. The Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast is also archived on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube. So make sure you find us all there. And until next episode, it was a great one. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, everybody, for your support. Till next time, so long and peace out.